All right, can everybody hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alkebu-Lan. Currently, I work with the Philadelphia Orchard Project. But I guess, I just want to start off by saying my road to climate justice came through Black liberation. I am a 12th generation of enslaved human beings on stolen land. My story and perspective on how to get people to return and interact with build in the land. So essentially right here, you see this my picture of Freddie Gray, or when I was at a protest for Freddie Gray. Essentially after that picture, I was arrested. They tried to give me 4 years and I felt powerless, like very powerless. I felt like cattle and livestock, hopeless, strip search, separated from my family, my son, going to have to fight my trial at least 4 times. They're trying to give me 4 years. My son is 5 now, so that means I wouldn't have seen him until he was 4, man. Like that was hard. And going through protests and things like that, and then going home, I'm protesting police. But I'm going to work at the same time, and me paying taxes support them, so that didn't sit right with me. So I had to think about most of my time and where I was going to put that energy. I'm working 40 hours a week, but why? I had to start seeking solutions. Why do I work? And that's essential for the essentials to live: food, water, and shelter. And it was a combination of desires to protect, love, not live in fear, to be free, be around my family every second that I wanted, cultivating our spirits and our constellation of care, and to not be under the weight of the Black skin. Black and brown skin has a certain price. You don't choose that when you come into this reality, but you have to deal with it. So essentially, I lost my job at that time, and I went through my agricultural boot camp. I went through Mill Creek Urban Farm, Greensboro, and Philadelphia Orchard Project. And I want to state for the record, being that I am from an urban environment, pretty much, by my neighbor interested in this. And the fact I got in here is because of my connection to my access of the privilege that I have. Food was the easiest thing at the time to acquire independence and power. You know, if I can grow a ton of food, then I don't have to go to work that much. If I can produce my own water, I don't have to do that either. So again, Blacks in agriculture, we were brought here to work another group soil. Another group built this continent and they brought us here to work it because, we heard the stories earlier on. But I feel like that's, we grew everything. We have a very complicated relationship with land, like I'm telling you. So this is Mill Creek, and this is where I ran from 2017 to 2019, 3 seasons strong. And the reason why I say we have a very complicated relationship with land is, think about it. We farmed the soil, we was used, we was bastardized for our gifts. We had to run from the south up to here to get away. And now we got kids who don't even want to step on my farm without covers, footies that you wear in hospitals onto the farm. They walk on Philly streets, they walk through landfills essentially, and they don't want to walk on soil. They don't understand the difference between dirt. There's real drastic disconnect. I've seen people scared of grass. But essentially, this is a production farm in the middle of the city on 49th and Brown. It has a cob structure, 2 plum trees, 2 cherry trees, apples, peaches, and pears, blackberries, raspberries, and strawberries, 2 fig trees. We had like 3 beehives, sensory garden, and asparagus patch. And there was a lot you could pack onto this. And I just wanted to show people that you can really grow a lot of food here. And also, like, during this time of my cultivation, I had to cultivate my backyard. So this is my backyard. Being that I'm in an urban environment, we don't have really money to buy land. And it's all about cultivating the land that we are covering constantly. You got to rebuild the soil and add layers of skin back to the earth because we're losing it. Again, teaching others what's around us to give you an edge. How do you build cooperation? So this was some of the things we wanted to teach on the farm. We wanted to teach them the seasons, the functionalities and the transformations of everything from beginning to end. Most of these kids are taught massive amount of land is in forests, farms, and parks. But again, we need to focus on the land beneath us and then to the side of us. We're so traumatized and essentially that we want to separate ourselves from nature on land. While I was on that farm, I seen a circular world that couldn't be seen or heard. Western life is ruled under God. It's like, the holy patriarch, essentially, actual life is ruled underneath the goddess. The goddess represents transformation. Femininity represents transformation. Again, you break the soil in the spring and you cover it in the fall, but the whole time you're drawing out energy and adding it back. It reminds men of childbirth. We talk about patriarchy a lot, and that's some of the things I instill to young men. The way you take care of plants is the way you take care of your woman. And the way you take care of the soil is how you take care of the womb. You put seeds in darkness and it goes to light. That may remind you of childbirth. And these are some of the things that the lessons, the stories that like I had access to, but I wanted to give to others. You know, essentially I was a beacon on this land. When I was there, the farm was a center of activity, or that's what I wanted it to be. I thought about how to show people the magic I was experiencing, the solution I thought of, but the climate I was introduced to, the divine laws I relearned. The savior won't come from above, but it definitely will come from below. You know, we live in a world where like essentially groups were made to hold up this pyramid, and we have to let the pyramid go. You have to let it drop. But here we have kids from the community who wanted to go to a corner store, but I also told them to come back to eat. Because essentially when you plant trees, you have guaranteed food if you take care of them. We had fruit trees that hung over the fence of the farm, and everything that hung over the fence, the community picked. And kids, when they would come by and pick them when they're green, you teach them the seasons, you teach them the lessons, you engage them. I started working, I ran down there and I got it. I was like, yo, you come back when those Jones are brown, orange, or purple, or red. These things are going to transition. You know, like I said, I found it interesting that we'd exploited for that gift, but now it will save us. The soil reflects the life around you. The tunnel vision of the ills people face while on the land leave them in the daze. Education breeds ignorance and reinforces it. So soil, climate is beneath them essentially because everything else is above them. So what is going to be beneath them? They already been put next to animals. It's the only thing beneath the African. Mental imperialism has polluted the minds of the inhabitants of the land and has created a mental landfill. The dynamics of the slave economy still live today, even in our own communities and within ourselves. Here we just have more groups because part of the farm education was to teach kids, quote unquote, natural agriculture. But it really, for me, just to help them remember that this is not a foreign concept. We use popular education. We did have farmers market. I'm going to touch on that. But essentially through popular education, it was all about work days and toys. And also just getting kids to come back and build relations. When those gates was open, that's when I was there. So again, this was our farmers market that we did. So everything we produced in that farm, I mean, I grew thousands of pounds of food. Everything I mentioned before was just perennials. I grew like 4 varieties of tomatoes, spinach, kale, collards, potatoes, sweet potatoes, beets, carrots, arugula, grew all different types of herbs. You know, just to really, because it's all about imagery for my people at this point. The flashy trinkets and the bling bling. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that are going to catch people's eyes because they don't want to go back. They don't want to go backwards. So essentially, by building my soil, I was able to present produce that looked amazing. You know, you wanted things that be like, yo, like, you know, I want them to see magic, you know? So again, we have kids who was helping set up the market. We have youth on the right who was up running the market. It was part of like the quote unquote farm brigade. But we have markets every Wednesday, 12 to 4 at 52nd and Haverford, and every Saturday at the farm 11 to 2. We took many form access to payment, but sometimes you didn't even ask for payments on Saturday. Again, we try to get off of capitalistic systems, right? So the way I would engage people would be like, yo, you put in a few hours to help cultivate the food, you can go home with it. And every hour you put in, I'll give you a few pounds. And it really was just me just giving food away. It's about people eating less than about the money. I sold a pound of organic kale for $1.25. I only went up a quarter because my community advised me to. They like, you don't want to give things away for too free, but no, it was all supply money for me to grow more food. So it's all about teaching the communities to form loops and teaching these kids to form loops while they're on the land. And then essentially from there, once you get kids to engage in food, then they will start paying attention to things that I discovered: plastic, just bad water, air pollution, essentially. The fact that on my farm it was cooler than it was on the sidewalk. And also just and being able to have access to fresh air and clean water. And this is all influenced through the land, because remember, land is the center point of that activity. Again, we had kids from Eighth and Pop, Martha Washington, kids from a local school. And essentially, like, you know, we had them come out again, they're turning the soil, but we had to start teaching them, like, you know, you don't want to step on soil. You don't want to do compaction. You have to teach them different properties of the soil, add the compost. And they enjoyed their time out there. You know, most of the kids, once you get them interested, they will. Yeah, it was fun. I tried to create mazes out there for the kids between the blackberries and the trees. You know, I arched them in a way and I pruned them in such a way you created a tunnel. So when kids came on from the hot rec centers that was located adjacent down the blocks, they would come to my farm. I would get them cool, and I'm like, yo, run through the shade, man. Go hang out. I'll hang hammocks up and everything. So again, this is the produce, and most of the produce that we grew here. We took FMNP checks. We took the farm market nutrition program with the senior food vouchers. We took WIC, EBT, And the program was designed again to buy more food. So every $5 you spent the benefits, you got $2 back, in food vouchers. And I will sell out in 2 hours, 2 hours. Like I didn't have a lot of food, but I grew a lot in that space. And also just people seeing me was like seeing a hero or something, a black farmer. It was like a hero. Again, we was also selling wholesale. This is just to show the bounties of what I was able to do. We also had rhubarb too. I forgot all about that rhubarb. But it's just to show like the amount of food you can produce in a very, very small space. And that wasn't even like that was just the beginning. Because I was also reading stories about how the native populations here could grow here. We had did some few events, the Welcome Back barbecue and Autumn Vibes. We cooked for 30 people twice on Autumn Vibes. We cooked everything from the field and put it over a fire pit. And we brought the people together so you can eat and harvest food. We had people harvest. This was before COVID, but we had people harvest and everything like that and become more engaged. These are two youth and Mama Justina. These are very important characters to me. These two youth came with me every day. They would show up because they knew I was there. They was trying to get away from trouble. Mama Justina came out because he's an elder, but it also shows the intergenerational context of how land can encompass memories, love, and lineage and history. This was the board, but I felt happy because Kofi was my first Black man that I ever really worked with, and he grew those carrots. I was able to help a man who was seeking it and gave him instruction, and I was just in this myself. Only been in this since 2016, but I felt that was a milestone for myself. But this is just to prove Mill Creek board and things like that. People are brought on. And this is the reason why I do everything I do. He is the future. He is my future. Masculinity needs a new place and it needs a new home. It has a place on the land. And we just need to remember it. He was with me every second of the way. We talk about as above, so below. The fire in the sky is the fire in the soil. And when I stood on that farm, this is what I saw. But also I want to go into imagery and why you need to see more Black people and also Native and Indigenous people. Because I think about that when it comes to perennial food systems and real food security. Annual vegetables are cute, but perennial systems are better. It's food security. So why don't Blacks and Africans get together with Native folks to share knowledge and recover the skills that we have to cultivate food and really withdraw from the structure? We cook our own food, grow our own food, build our soil. We don't gotta go to markets. We don't gotta do anything. This is the point of like, we're at war and we are prisoners of war and we have to remind ourselves of this and we'll get our power. Next is just, it's really just a video of, I guess you can watch it, but it's something that subconsciously inspired me as a kid. I call myself the man with the green hands because of this. And that will be it for my presentation after this video. Thank you.
It's 12:37 in the AM, and you're listening to Rod Simmons on Talk Radio. Our show tonight, The Flying Man of D.C. Does he really exist? Is he real or fiction? We want to hear from you. We want to hear your calls. Call in now. You know our number.
Hey, Rod, man, I just want to say that, with all the black-on-black crime in D.C., it's kind of nice to know our brothers out there trying to do something. Thanks.
I just want to say I don't know if he's real or not, but I've got 2 kids, and I just pray that he is.
I think this is a ridiculous scam being perpetrated on the inner city by ambitious politicians stepping on the backs of my people for their own corrupt political agendas. Peace.
You're listening to Rod Simmons. A yes caller.
All I know is that somehow someone they call the Flying Man closed down a crack house, and it brought my son home.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a miracle. An outdoor grocery store, a garden in the middle of the ghetto. It'll feed thousands and thousands. Who is behind this? A few nights ago, we reported that the caped man was Clarence James Carter III. But the Bloods and the Crips say that it isn't Mr. Carter. Our caped hero wants to be called Meteor Man. No one knows his true
Yeah, so that's
identity.
essentially it.
Well, whoever
That's
you are,
essentially it.
keep up the good work. And Meteor Man, if you're ever in my neighborhood, lunch is on me. I'm Janice Farrell, reporting for Channel 3 News.
Sorry. It's 12:37 in the
Yeah, so that was it. That's kind of some of the things that I try to imagine for young brothers. When we want justice and things like that, we should go out and plant things up, and then just grow these systems so essentially it will pop up overnight, quote unquote, over time. And things will be there. So thank you guys.
All right.